What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the DAB Digest, where we share and spotlight leaders in the alternative medicine wellness space. Today, we are lucky enough to be joined by CEO and founder of PayRio, Aubrey Amatelli, and we hope you all enjoy. Good. All right. So, what inspired you to create PayRio, and how did you first get involved in payment processing in the alternative medicine space?
Great question. So I think they go hand in hand. From a payment standpoint, I've been in the payments world since pretty much the beginning of my career. So was started back in 2011 at JPMorgan and was there for a really long time, over 10 years. And then left to jump into the startup world with a payment fintech company. I was ready. My kids were grown, and so I was ready to get back into the startup world. Born and raised in the Silicon Valley, so it's kind of in my blood and always a dream of mine. And after getting being at that startup for about a year, I realized I had a lot of knowledge that was really beneficial to a smaller, fast-growing company. And I also was just very passionate about alternative medicines. And it was just kind of one day a light bulb went off, and I was ready to leave that company and start my own. So PayRio started with CBD, just a high risk, essentially payment processing industry that was easily accessible or a little bit easier accessible to me. And then very quickly, all of the CBD companies that we were calling, they didn't need a CBD payment solution. They needed a cannabis solution. So within a few months of trial and error and doing thousands and thousands of cold calls, I realized cannabis was the industry that needed the help. And so we started with cannabis and then have now grown to psilocybin and peptides and other alternative medicines since then.
Wow, that's amazing. I think it's really admirable to come from the traditional banking space and then implement your knowledge into a space that needs help in a lot of these solutions. And we do have a lot of compliant issues, even if, like, for instance, with WaxNax, we are an ancillary product, we're a package, but because we're associated with some things that the government doesn't agree with, we have to find different solutions and find other payment processors and people that can actually work with us. So it's really admirable to take your knowledge and be able to bring it into the space where a lot of people need this hurdle to be jumped. And so that kind of leads me into my next question of, so what are some of the challenges that new businesses face when they're coming into this industry and are looking for payment solutions?
Essentially what PayRio is made for is finding a compliant and reliable payment solution. So many companies come to us because they've been shut off by one of the big payment processors that a lot of times a company goes in and they Google it and they find Shopify or Stripe or, Adyen, and then they get signed up right away. And then within a couple of weeks, they get shut off. And now they just launched their brand new business and everything's going well. They don't know that there's an issue. And then those fintechs, what they do is they essentially audit the businesses after they go live. Instead of what we do is we take and underwrite the businesses before they go live. So we get to know all of the companies first, and we make sure that when the merchant ID is created, which is a big, what you need from the e-commerce world to plug into your website, that you have already been approved. We love your business. We know your business, and you can feel safe that for the rest of time, you will be able to keep that merchant ID without being shut off. And as regulations change, we let our customers know that so that they can make changes to their website or what they're selling in order to keep their merchant ID.
Mhm.
So I think the biggest issue that in the cannabis world and in the e-commerce space for higher risk or ancillary products is being shut off. And that's where we specialize in making sure you have a solid home before you start with us.
Yeah. And I think that's really important that something that you guys do and a step that you take is doing the underwriting up front. And so being able to like provide the information up front to these places to be able to make them feel secure about the company they're about to work with is a lot more, I keep going back to the word admirable, but it's more admirable than what's happening with Shopify in some of these places. And we all use these platforms. And this happened to us when we first got onto Shopify. We accidentally clicked yes to their payments and it locked us up for multiple months. And so it's
Yeah,
something to where we had to almost completely start over just to be able to get it out of that like frozen aspect because then they went and looked that we had paraphernalia on the website. We weren't selling it, but we that's how we market the product to show how it's utilized and what its versatility is. So it's something to where you kind of answered the next question that I had, and it was about regulations and staying in front of those regulations and making sure, because especially with like the retail side of things and like the plant touching side of things, like if their processing gets shut down, they're essentially in a very bad situation.
they are. And I go a lot of times back. I get the question all the time, what makes this compliant? How do you know it won't be shut off? And it's just the common question in the cannabis world, that's plant touching, in the e-commerce world, in the ancillary product world. And I always lean back on my time at JPMorgan. JPMorgan, when I was working there, was the largest credit card processor in the world, the largest bank in the world. And regulation is what we were always like the high, we were always meeting those federal regulations. And I learned a lot about the processes and compliance and what to look for in the payment flow. There's a lot that goes into a payment from the time you enter your card or tap your phone or insert your card, and then you get that approval or decline, right? And that's a millisecond. But there's so much that goes on in that on those train tracks from point A to point B, and that's what we specialize in. So for me, it's being able to look at the solutions in cannabis, for example, and really vet all of the solutions that come across my desk, make sure they hit all of the rules and the regs that I find to be fully compliant. And it's always a different funds flow. There's new technology coming out all the time, but a lot of them are trying to sneak in, fake merchant category codes or do business not on the up and up. So it's our job to vet the solutions. And if it doesn't fit my criteria, we pass on working with that processor. Because the worst thing that you said what could happen is you get up and running, you spend money on terminals, or you invest your time, you train your staff, and then it's, the payment solutions pulled out from under you.
Mhm.
So we do all of the vetting as well up front. And I have multiple payment solutions coming across my desk each week. And we're able to say yes or no based on my prior experience at JP Morgan.
That's awesome. And it's good to hear that you do have multiple coming across because that means that more banks and credit card solution companies are trying to get into this world, which then will help essentially everybody once banking becomes more normalized for us. So
Yeah.
that's awesome, and I really admire the way you've built the team and the way that you guys really are consumer centric and you make sure that you're at these alternative medicine events and that you're always present and trying to be forward thinking instead of just thinking of like, hey, we're able to get transactions on each one of these processes and terminals and things like this. And like the more things that you bring in, and that shows that you guys are credible, is you don't just accept every processor that comes across your desk. And so it makes it really a place where people want to kind of turn to and say, okay, we trust this company because they're vetted and they also share the customer support that is missed in our industry. Because with us, if we're down for a few seconds, it could mean a lot of things and a lot of time. So we just don't have the traditional routes. And thank you for creating something like this. So,
Yeah. And we've learned along the way too. I launched in 2022 and we've seen solutions that even being fully compliant and following, the right funds flow and utilizing the right MCC code have been shut down. So we've learned a lot along the way. And now each of our solutions has redundancy in them. So meaning, a physical terminal that we deploy to dispensaries has two merchant IDs in one. So if one were to get turned off or paused, we can flip it over to the other merchant ID. And then same on the e-commerce side. We recommend to all of our clients, depending on how the volume of their product, but we recommend utilizing a specific gateway that allows them to put in two merchant IDs. So it gives them redundancy on the e-commerce side as well. So we can vet the compliance all day long, but what I've learned is that even if it's compliant or following a proper funds flow, there's, especially for the federally illegal products, there is a chance it could be shut down. And
Mm.
so now we have this safety net and this redundancy. So if something is turned off or paused, we can switch it over to eliminate or minimize the downtime for our customers.
That's very smart, and it's a good way to help people feel secure because I've had to deal with the behind the scenes of processing before and through these different like credit card companies, and it is not the easiest thing to be able to get a new merchant ID turned on when you're having an issue with yours, like your personal one. So that's awesome to be able to have that safety net, and I think it just helps people understand how important like processing is, and it can be as clean as possible, but one thing can red flag it, and then you're in a sticky situation. So having that comfortability of knowing there's a second merchant is really a cool thing. So, and that leads me into my next question. So, what has been like one of the most rewarding or some of the most rewarding things about building PayRio? Like,
It's easy for me. We just found out we won the Cannabis Business Times Best Company to Work for, which for 2025, which when I found the news out, I swear I almost fell off of my chair. Like I literally, I was sitting right here and I almost fell off just because we're a newer company, and it's just such a big honor in the cannabis world to be nominated that. And I don't know, but we were also listed as the first one on that list, which is really cool. I don't know if it means we're number one or what, but I'm taking it. Just be happy to be on the list. But that was the most rewarding because this company has been, it's like my fourth child. I have
Mhm.
three, and it's like my fourth child. But we have such a close knit group within PayRio. We have a lot of the people I work with, I've known almost my whole life. I have best friends from high school that work with us. My best friends from college. People from JPMorgan, and my, OG, my second employee ever, Chase, he was actually my neighbor growing up. I used to babysit when he was little. So we have, back in the day, but we have a really close-knit group, and I'm just so excited that after that survey for the best cannabis businesses, that they survey the whole company and they want to learn about diversity, all of your benefits and perks, and everyone, we had great reviews. So that was my biggest honor because it's a really, I think fantastic award to get in the space.
I definitely I would agree with that. I think that showing love to your employees is so important and be able like for other people to see that because it's not just your employees voting for that. That's something to where other people see the excitement that they have. Like obviously you guys don't come to work in the office, but like when you're talking to people, when you're out at events, when you're out networking, when you're out doing advocacy, whatever you're doing, it just kind of shows that people are sharing lightingly about Pay Rio. So that's a huge honor to be able to get that reward and just be even nominated for it, I think is something that's really important. So it's
Yeah.
really cool to be able to do that and be able to share that with the people who are building this for you or like helping build this with you, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So
Yeah.
including your customers, because I think that that's a really good thing for them to be able to feel confident in their customer support. So
Yeah, it felt like, starting in 2022, it like a self-funded company. I was making cold calls all day long, every single day, and to see our growth. And that is because of the incredible team, but also because of the community that supports us and that we support, and our customers. And it warms my heart to be just a recognized company now in the cannabis space. And I do think you're right. A lot of it is because we, since day one, have been passionate about being part of the community. and we are at all the events. We sponsor many events. I care deeply about cannabis and alternative medicines. It's changed and touched my life, and the fact that we can provide payment solutions, reliable payment solutions to these industries, just is our part of helping these industries grow, which feels really great.
That's awesome. And that kind of leads me into my next question. You just like spoke on it, how alternative medicine and wellness has really helped you personally. So how do you, with you guys being so active in the community and engagement, how do you see the industry moving forward with alternative wellness? And that includes all these categories that you guys cover, not just cannabis.
From a payment standpoint, how do I see it moving forward? Or
Yeah, yeah. Sorry,
yeah,
from a payment
yeah, I
standpoint.
just can. So there's two, there's the federally legal products, like all the hemp derived or alternative cannabinoids and CBD, and so that industry, we are able to provide a really safe home, but it's more open to different processors stepping into that industry. It's just considered high risk. Cannabis, on the other hand, isn't federally legal. So we can see the future of cannabis when cannabis becomes federally legal. It will be deemed similar to what CBD is, which is still a really difficult product to get approved. But once it is federally legal, I think that on the dispensary side, the point of sales, the Dutchie, the Trees, the Blaze, the Flow Hubs, all of them, they are going to do what's called integrated payments. So they're going to take their point of sale and have it integrated with a terminal. Integrated payments means that our terminals, which are not integrated, and that's by design because we don't want to be integrated at the point of sale. Right now, every time a point of sale integrates to payment solution, not every time, but a majority of the time, that payment solution gets shut off. So it's kind of playing with fire. But once cannabis is federally legal and the big point of sales integrate payments, there isn't going to be much of a need for PayRio anymore in that particular vertical, which I care about the customers and I want them to have the best cost always and the easiest, most integrated solution. And so that's okay. Like I'm going to be happy for the industry when it gets there. I still think it's a couple of years away. So between now and then, we're going to continue to provide excellent service on the payment side for dispensaries. But the future is an integrated payment solution for cannabis. And then for, what we're seeing is a really big topic, right? Or a big industry looking for payments is psilocybin. So, like I said, when we first started with CBD, and then the CBD companies told us we needed something for cannabis. And now the cannabis companies are telling us they need something for their psilocybin piece of their business, right? And so that's something that we're looking or we can support with alternative methods of payments. And I think the same for that industry. It's just one step behind, cannabis, but ultimately the goal is for very easy plug and play payment solutions that empower consumers to purchase the medicine they need and give them the opportunity to continue to take that medicine or explore the medicines. And ultimately, I think that is what's going to change the world. So the
Absolutely.
future is bright, and whatever way it goes, we're still going to be here supporting the industry because that's our what we're passionate about.
And that's great to hear. I think that it's something to where you're going to see trends of these industries and them starting to shift and to see how they can help impact people and to see that a lot of the myths behind a lot of these medicines from the past are something that were just to instill fear in us. So it's something really cool because I think you're just going to continue to see it go from CBD cannabis like psilocybin to other medicines like I heard you say peptides earlier and like there's a lot of different things that people are starting to get knowledge about and starting to be knowledgeable about, which is helping their physical and their physicality and their health overall. Which
Mhm.
then so it's something that you're going to continue to see things move, and it's good to hear that you guys are going to be here for that in the long term and the short term.
Mhm. Yeah, that's
So.
cool. That's our path. That's why we're here, is to support the industry. And every time a new customer comes on board, it's a feel good feeling because we know we
Mhm.
empower them to offer a reliable payment solution to their customers. And the more businesses that can do that, the more, the medicine spreads in that way. And I
Yeah.
truly do think, and you see the trend. People are becoming awakened and they're trying alternative medicines and they're expanding their minds and they're becoming more connected. And the more that happens, and you told me about the book. It's going to change the world. We're shifting right now, I think, and
Mhm.
I'm just happy that PayRio gets to be a small part of that shift.
Yeah. And I think the book that you're referring to is The Celestine's Prophecy, which
Yeah.
is a really good one to check out. I think that it is an evolution of the mind and seeing how we can continue to evolve and be grateful for all of these medicines that are on this earth and all of these surroundings that we have. So it's
Yeah.
awesome to see that you're instilling that within your business too, because I think there is a shift and there will continue to be a shift for alternative medicines and healing overall.
And
And
healing. Yeah.
whether it's breath work, sound healing, like there's a lot of different things that can help us mentally and be able to get through the matrix that we live in. So,
We're actually launching, because of your introduction to Anna, PayReal is going to host a 2 time a month breathwork session that's open to the public. So
oh,
we're
it's awesome.
starting that it's taken a while, but we're starting it in May. And so that'll be kind of our gift to the community as well, because I agree, breathwork is so important. I just went to an ayahuasca retreat and I had some of the most profound moments during breath work actually
Hmm.
after. So breath work really can get you there, even in a way that, same way as plant medicine without even utilizing plant medicine. So
Oh
we're excited
yeah.
to bring that as well to the
It's
community.
it's definitely helped change my life, the breath work that Anna has introduced to me. So I'm grateful for that. And that kind of leads into my last question. You already shared a little bit of having the community breath work as a gift to the community and kind of bringing in the healing overall instead of just being focused on one medicine or one thing. So what's on the agenda for the rest of 2025 for PayRio? Any exciting things on the horizon?
Yeah, we just launched a B2B ACH solution for farms and for brands. So it's actually plant touching, cannabis touching payment solution that we're just about, like we just launched it last week. So we're excited to start to reach out to the opposite side. We've been doing so much work with dispensaries, and now we can help farmers get paid quicker. We can help the brands get paid quicker with a very easy to use kind of plug and play solution to QuickBooks. Because we're ancillary businesses or even plant touching, QuickBooks allows you to use their service but not use their payment service. So now we have a plugin that plugs in so you can use QuickBooks for all of your needs, which is great. So that's exciting for us. We also have also launched in during this time a low risk part of my business. So where we can help low risk industries as just a way to take a lot of what we've learned in cannabis from offering a convenience fee on the terminal and what industries in the low risk space like automotive, accounting, and law utilize terminals that can benefit from having the convenience fee model. So as I expand and we grow, I really wanted to balance it out and start that piece of my business. So I've been focusing on that as well. Otherwise, just continuing to rock and roll and go to events and help support the industry. We actually are the very first sponsor for the Northern California Women in Cannabis Group. So we're an annual sponsor. I've been working with Leah on that, and the Bearded Bros have really partnered with her to lift that up as well. So that's exciting. But we're
Uh,
just rocking and rolling and loving what we do every day, which is
yeah.
how it should be.
Absolutely. That's exciting to hear about the payment solutions with ACH for the farmers and being able to link straight to QuickBooks. And just
Mhm.
staying active within even your local community is really huge. And I think that that's a big thing, especially because you're in the Bay Area. So it's one of the meccas of of all alternative medicine. So it really helps that you're able and your employees are able to get out there and see like what it's like instead of just sitting behind a desk and going home every day. You get to actually meet these farmers and you get to meet the people who are behind the scenes or the people that are covering media or some of the people that have like advocated to like get the industry to where it is. Like it's something that's really great to be able to see that you're not only just in this industry for to be able to provide a solution on the payment side. You're in it to help it move forward on any aspect that you can. So, and I think it's really cool that you're able to kind of bring in the low risk side of things because at the end of the day, like you're helping the alternative medicine space, but it's always good to be able to help these small businesses too, because like we should be supporting local and doing all these things, and it's just helps for people to be able to get the lowest rate possible and for people that have good customer support. So kudos to you on that, and
Yeah.
I really do appreciate you joining us today for this edition of the Dab Digest, and I just wanted to give you this opportunity to plug anything to like tell people where they can find you at if they need help with payment solutions, where how they can get in contact with you all.
Well, you can always reach out to Brian because he knows where to find me. But going to our website, if you go to meet the team, you can book an appointment directly with me. So my calendar's there. You can book a meeting there. So I'm easy to get a hold of. And then always LinkedIn is a really great place. We do a lot of posts and share a lot of news on LinkedIn and then Instagram, PayRio_HQ. So find this all around, but definitely reach out to Brian first.
Oh, well, thank you for that. And I appreciate you joining us today, and we will see you next time. All
Bye.
right.